Boom, welcome everybody. It's Ryan Douglas here from EHTV. I'm so excited. We got Vandana Shiva coming on to the platform very shortly. But before we do, we get onto it. If you don't know Vandana Shiva, I just want to invite you right now. Go and look her up. She is an absolute powerhouse, amazing woman who has caused ripples throughout the world. She's shaken up the world as we know it. She's an unbelievable human being, an advocate in so many levels for the environment, for the saving the seeds, and also for women, writing a multitude of books. But tonight, the main focus is I want to bring in local inspiring people who Vandana has impacted the life of. We've recently done a film screening up in Cairns, and a big thanks to Lisa from the Kuranda Seed Savings to put on that event to bring in this message of the importance of valuing the seeds, the earth, the soil, and most importantly, the people. So today I've got a lineup. Stay with us right to the end because I've got so many great people who are going to join me in this conversation, who is locally here in Far North Queensland, all across the coast of Queensland, all across Australia, shaking up the world as we know it, inspiring people that I admire and look up to, particularly in this space of giving back to the earth, creating those seeds of change. And I'm just so honored to welcome and be joined by these beautiful, beautiful people who are joining me on the screen. We've got Maria from Far North Queensland, Annalise down the Sunshine Coast, Jay Jackson, North Queensland, and Sovereign, who's in Bali. And before we go around the round table discussion, have this chat with everyone, I just want to thank you who are joining in right now for the live call. And if you've got any questions, just want to invite you to be a part of this conversation, be engaged in this communion together as we unify this greater, bigger cosmic field that we're all playing a part of, and just put them into the center, because there's an opportunity for also Vandana to explore, and she's ultimately a part of this circle with us. Although she's pioneered the space in many ways for many years, dedicated her life to this kind of work, we get to be that extension of her arms. We get to be that part of the wheel and really go forth in a really powerful way, particularly when we come together in that union as we are, as we know, unified as one. And when we start playing in that role, we recognize our power together. It becomes amplified to places beyond our imagination. So I just want to thank you guys for your time, for joining us. We're going to go around and hear from everyone to really just hear the stories of inspiration that has really lighted up your world and led you on the path to where you are now, doing the work that you're doing now, and also sharing with those who are tuning in for the live, how they too can be a part of that change, because there is so much changing in the world right now, and to be prepared and equipped with the tools and the wisdom and the knowledge and the standing as human beings in our power to move forward as we evolve through this time. So big gratitude again for Vandana for taking the time out and committing her life. Big gratitude for you guys for joining us, and all of those who are joining in on the live. We've got Helena already commenting saying, "We love you, Vandana. You are absolutely amazing. Love from Helena in Oroville, India." Fantastic. And I just wanted to open up the conversation. I want to introduce Sovereign, who's played a huge role in the back ends of the platform Earth Heroes and working in with Vandana and bringing her onto the platform. So Sovereign, I'm just curious to hear from you first, particularly, you've pioneered the space in North Queensland around syntropy now, looking at human ecology tied into that piece. And you've got such an extensive knowledge on, this area of life. So I would love to hear from you, brother, if you feel to share on maybe your excitement for Vandana. What a powerhouse she is.
Yeah, wow. So great to be here with you all. It's almost like something that how could we have missed this when Earth Heroes TV started out, to really start focusing on those living legends amongst us that have made a stand for reason, for common sense, for natural justice, for so many of what I simply call the natural ways of relating to life, and being able to shine light on the distortions that have seeped into and has come through predominantly through the Western mind over the last 400-500 years, whether we see that through succession in our human ecology, going from colonialism and guised under maybe even the branding of a patriarchal orientation, seeing that flow into industrial kind of war against life agriculture. Vandana has, through her life's work, as I have observed larger pieces of it over time as new pieces came out, has really addressed single-handedly not just the foundational flaws, but really where we get to also make a stand again and reconnect and plug back in and create the reawakening of the freedom that we have to choose the reality that we want to create. And what I deeply love about it is that she's never put a, we call those little things that you hang your clothes on, and she's never put one of those on her voice. And with that, what I wanted to speak to is the value of really articulating ecofeminism as the kind of missing understanding that we, because we were all born into this quote unquote patriarchal industrial mindset. It is that feminist and feminine approach, that maternal approach that has been so amiss. And to be able to recognize that for myself, and then to figure out what's my piece and my parcel in not just creating space for that, for woman to do what it is that she is in many ways more gifted at than us as men. In the sense of caring, in the sense of nurture, I've taken it on in my small way to speak to that. And I see that in that there is a rising for the masculine to really shine, to really become that protector, because the protecting that there is to be done is for those life ways of peace, for those life ways of inner knowing and inner standing that are about nurturing care, that by default come more from the within through the feminine. And to me, to have her as a guiding voice in amongst all the noise and all the distortion and all the cult programming that I grew out of, but that I was programmed into, it has been really quite profound to be able to lean on someone in my own development and my own growth that is still today just coming out, boom, with more amazing, clear-cut, no bullshit language to address the issues of our time.
That's beautifully said, Sovereign. Thanks for sharing. And it's such great questions and areas to explore as a foundation. You know, the role of women in this huge shift coming out of a dominantly patriarchal system and unraveling that, undoing it, and stepping into that more feminine quality. I would love to hear from the women who have joined this circle this evening on that piece and on that relationship to Vandana. And I'm just so grateful that Annalise and Maria are both joining us. So maybe, Maria, I would love to hear from you if you feel to explore on that level of how Vandana has really impacted your life, and what you do up in Far North Queensland is amazing. And just wanted to praise you and honor you for all your work. So I'd love to hear from you.
Thank you, Shay. It's really wonderful to be here. And for me, seed saving is something that I was introduced to fairly young in my life, but I wasn't really paying attention. And it wasn't until I was guided here to Far North Queensland that I really felt the universe speaking to me through seeds. And I have not had the opportunity to meet Vandana Shiva personally, but she certainly has inspired me greatly through the work that she has been doing for so many years. And I have watched many of her videos, and it was wonderful to be able to see the documentary on her life recently in Kuranda that Lisa did organise. It was a wonderful event and really fantastic to get the opportunity to see more of Vandana's life and how she is impacting other people. So for me personally, when I moved to North Queensland in 2017, I was interested in becoming part of the Mariba Seed Saving Group because I've always had an interest in gardening, but I'd never really been into saving seeds as such. And I had a beautiful experience happen one morning while I was preparing my breakfast. I happened to find myself at home on my own, and I went out into the garden and I picked a beautiful fresh pawpaw that was ripe and ready to eat. And I was preparing that and I cut it open and I was, scraping out the seeds from one side of the pawpaw. And one of those seeds fell onto the table. And I looked at it and I picked it up, looked at it in my fingers, and I looked at the pawpaw that I had been removing the seeds from. And then I looked at the other half that was sitting on the table that was still absolutely chock-a-block full of seeds. And in that moment, something really profound happened for me. It's not really easy to put it into words because it was more a feeling. It was almost like I went out into the universe and had a realization or an awakening of the unlimited, infinite potential within every seed. And I realized in that moment the sacredness of seeds. And what also came to me at that time was the seeds are reflecting that unlimited, infinite potential that we all have within us because everything is connected. And so it was such a beautiful experience. And just a couple of weeks after that, I was given the opportunity to take over the administration role for the Seed Savers. And I'd had the time on my hands to do that. And I've really embraced it. And over the last 3.5 years, we've seen the group grow immensely. We've got over 600 people in our email list. So we're actually connecting with a lot of people now. And we had a beautiful event in November last year. We were only expecting about 50 or 60 people, and we had 130 people arrive. So it sort of took us off guard a little bit. It was like, woohoo, this is unbelievable, but so wonderful at the same time, And we just had another event on the weekend, and we had over 80 people. There's so many people coming up to us now saying, I want to know about gardening. I want to know about seed saving. Can you please help? And there are times when I feel like I really don't know that much. There are so many more people, I feel, who have so much more experience in these areas than I do. But I feel this really profound drive to connect people up with the idea of seed saving and the importance of doing that, because it's our future and there is so much potential within every single seed which we have within us. So Vandana Shiva has inspired me greatly, and I will continue to do the work that I do, connecting people through the Seed Saving Network. And it's beautiful to see so many people coming on board. Just 3 months ago, we had 2 other areas in Far North Queensland start their own seed saving groups, one in Atherton and one in Ravenshoe. And there are a couple of others that are actually in the pipeline talking about the fact that they would like to do it, but they're a little bit tentative. So Mariba Seed Savers is supporting them as much as we can, and we put together a pack of information. And one of the things that we also love to do when people come to our meeting and they decide that they would like to be a part of the Seed Savers group, we gift them with the beautiful Seed Savers reference book from Michelle and Jude Fanton. So that gives them a bit of a head start, I suppose, to begin looking at the amazing world of seed saving. So yeah, Vandana Shiva is an amazing woman. She's such an inspiration for me, and I'm here in North Queensland, and that's what I'm doing. So yeah.
I love it, Maria. Thanks so much for sharing, and just your grace and elegance and your stories that you share are so powerful and so much meaning and beautiful message that you have to share with the seeds and saving them. Guys, just to inform you, if you're just tuning into the live right now, we got a live interview next week with Vandana Shiva herself. She's going to be joining us and dropping into sharing some powerful messages. I'm sure she's going to be transmuting a lot of amazing wisdom to help us navigate our current times. We can all acknowledge that we're faced with some serious challenges in this moment as a planetary collective here on this planet Earth, and what these amazing local inspiring people are offering us is some simple solutions that we can, start doing today. And so I just want to invite Jay as an expert on this piece to share in just a moment. And before we go any further, I'm just going to drop in the chat.
You're gone muted.
Thanks, Sovereign. Awesome. So we're coming round to Jay, and I've just dropped in the comment section where you can join us for that live interview with Vandana Shiva next week. It's going to be an exciting opportunity where we're going to send this broadcast out to the world for free, so we can tune into these simple local solutions to be able to navigate our current times. And I want to bring in Jay Jackson, and then we've got Annalise Horton who's going to share after. And also stay with us to the end, because we've got one special guest who's just connecting up his device. He's a local legend from far north Queensland. But if we can get him on as well, that'd be fantastic. But Jay, as an expert in this field, working daily in the syntropics, agroforestry, permaculture, seed saving, you've got a vast, extensive area of knowledge and expertise. What's your, involvement and excitement and enthusiasm moving forward with some of the wealth of information that Vandana shares and what we can implement today moving forward?
Thanks, Shay, and thanks to everyone. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here and to speak on the topic. I'm flattered by your wonderful introduction there. Quite humble in the space of permaculture at times, especially in the likes with Annalise here and some of the elders that I sit with. And I think that's the big thing for me is seeing Vandana Shiva as an elder in this whole movement, right from the ground up, literally, from the roots, and how wonderfully she has gone through academia and through the science realm to be recognized as a woman, especially in a culture that is a little different to what we experience on a daily basis. And wow, I funny enough was actually just talking about seeds this past week, and talking to different people about seeds, and I've ordered a bunch of seeds. And firstly, I want to say huge thanks to Seed Savers and the work that the hands of locals and communities that are literally continuing the life, the genetics, the history that our ancestors carried, for us to do what we do. So every day I'm out there, and today I was in the nursery and measured up a new nursery that we just built, and we can fit over 1,000 trees in there, and it's really exciting. And often sometimes I stop and I think, as I handed over this little container of seeds that I had, and I thought about tonight, and I thought about these seeds, and they were actually some longin seeds that I ate recently from a friend's tree. And I thought, here's the seed and it's come from a tree, and before that it came from a tree and someone had to take that seed and carry it and put it in the ground somewhere and that grew a tree, you know, and that's happened so many times before for this to happen. And yet it's a tiny little seed, you know. It can be, it's almost as if like it can so be easily misplaced or forgotten or overlooked. And yet this one little seed, I mean, a longan seed's, you know, bigger than a pea, so it's a good sized seed, yet, you know, it grows into this big beautiful tree. And I think for myself, working in permaculture and a lot more now in syntropics is my life, my career, but also my passion, you know, really relies on seeds being carried over and held, and you know, through the work of Maria and Lisa for many years, and even Sovereign, you know, with Seed Saver movement. And you know, I take my hat off. I keep seeds for a while, and I try and get them in when I can, and I save seeds where I can. Though I'm definitely more focused on getting them once they're already grown and putting them in the ground and putting these large scale systems in that I'm doing now. And it was many years ago. It was 2011, 2012 for me when the big shift in the world. 2012 was a big thing then, and Vandana Shiva came into my field and my radar around, you know, her work of saving seeds and creating seed banks across India. And I, at the time, you know, was very, very much in that space of wanting to save seeds from everywhere and everything. And in permaculture, we talk about, like, you know, when you get seeds, you know, give some away, you know, give them to your favorite gardener friends, you know, like plant it so that if yours don't survive, someone else's may, you know. And if there's any permaculturalists out there listening, you'll know what I mean. And it's the same with plants as well. You know, when you get plants, you know, don't put all your eggs in one basket. It's kind of like, don't put all your seeds in the same place. And learning about it's almost like the intelligence that's carried in these seeds. Sometimes they grow really well in certain places, sometimes not. Sometimes I've raised them and looked after things and they haven't done well, only to find that some seeds had fallen down off the nursery and they were growing on the ground, you know, by themselves. So yeah, I was immensely inspired and kind of blown away, you know, hearing, you know, that you know, this woman in India was taking on Monsanto, you know, which seemed like, for someone who cares about their health, cares about, you know, well-being and the environment, Monsanto must like really be like the devil, right? And like it's almost as if this corporation is hell-bent on destroying not only the life in the soil, but the natural genetic life of plants, and unfortunately the consequences are then the life of farmers. And when I through learning about Vandana and the information and the videos and the research that I did, learning that there was actually farmers that had gone from their traditional farming practices and being sold genetically modified seeds, and then the seeds didn't perform and didn't do what they were supposed to and be resistant to this or that or whatever, and then they had to put poison on these crops, and then the farmers were indebted into these seed companies to the point that some of them took their own lives by drinking the very poison that they were indebted by. And that's tragic. That, you know, that really rocked me as a, you know, as a man in my late 20s then, who had changed my life around literally from working in trades and metals and engineering, and came to realize that that's not a natural tragedy. You know, that's not a natural thing. That's something that can be avoided. And that's, you know, there's certain companies and they've got blood on their hands. And this is what I truly love about Vandana Shiva is she just like just relentlessly yet gracefully continues to walk forward in the face of this monstrosity in the agricultural world, you know, not only in India but around the world. And here I am many years later, like fueled by that to continue that, a little less raging against the Monsanto machine, more so putting my energy into really positive places and inspiring young change makers and inspiring people to do the courses, to do the workshops, to go to Seed Savers, to save their seeds and plant them. And I literally was in the pouring rain today in North Queensland, and I was in the nursery, and I was there with a young worker of mine, and you know, coming and friend. He did the permaculture design course last year, and he's there, and he's shivering because we'd been out in the rain for so long and it was wet and everything. And he's showing me all these trees, and he's got these seeds, and he wants to plant them. And I'm like, all right, it's cool, man. Like, do you want to go in the shed? He's like, oh yeah, but I want to show you this. And seeing this young man, like, just, you know, defying, you know, his bodily function to want to get out of the cold rain. In a sense, the wind was blowing and everything. You know, I just stood there, and I was feeling cold myself, and I took a breath. And I remember, you know, ice bath practices and breathing, and I said, hey, it's okay. Like, we're going to do this. We're going to do this, you know. And we decided we're going to double the size of the nursery, and we've got some big projects coming on, and we've got 3,500 plants for the next project, and we've got a nursery that fits 1,000. So it was really exciting. And in that moment, you know, I realized, like, in the back of my mind, I've got so much ticking over with projects and deadlines and information and courses to deliver, and the fast pace of the modern world. And it's that coming back to what's important, what grounds us, you know, through the breath, connecting through our feet into the earth. At the time I was in ankle deep water, and really cherishing and being grateful for this opportunity that we have, and but the likes of our elders that lead us in this way. And so really, really grateful for this opportunity, and thank you, especially Shay, to Earth Heroes, and all the seed savers around Australia and the world. Really appreciate it, and I'm honoured to have the opportunity to share that, not only here but each and every day with the people that I work with and the people that I associate with in my circles. And if I can just impart one little thing and you know, plant little seeds all along the way. Sometimes, you know, not all seeds grow in all places, but, you know, we plant enough trees, plant enough seeds, and surely we'll see trees. So it's that's me. And
Thanks, Jay.
Happy. Cheers.
Love it. You're a legend, mate. Love what you're doing in across the world with your life. It's absolutely inspiring. I'm going to bring in Lisa, who's really enabled this all to happen for us. She's joining us live from far north Queensland. But before we hear from Lisa, I just wanted to pass it over to Annalise, who's worked on the ground saving seeds here in far north Queensland, teaching for many years now, leading courses. We just finished the Change Makers PDC at the end of last year. There's a great video about to come out we've been working on with her and the team. And yeah, just really wanted to hear from you, Annalise, who's had some phenomenal experiences with Vandana. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much, Shay. Earth Heroes, great to be here with the team. Vandana has had such an impact on my life. Originally, in 2000, I went down to Melbourne for the September 11 protests for the World Trade Organization, and there was a lot coming up for seed there. And whose picture is on the big billboard is this Indian woman that I didn't know anything about. But 22 years ago, it was Vandana who was representing, coming from India to Australia, to share with our people hey, I just really want to light a serious flame on this, and I want you guys to see what's happening. A few years later in my world travels, I end up, of course, being interested in permaculture. When I was in India, I wanted to go to the best place. And so I prearranged to work with Vandana and to do an internship in Delhi. But of course, going from Delhi, then I wanted to get out to the farm in Dehradun. And being out on the farm, I could see the oxen and the plow being used. I could see the seed-saving, beautiful mud brick house which stored the seed bombs with a number of different seeds that would get spread out into the fields. And when the right conditions would come, then the rain would come and the seeds could grow, and the old traditional practices. I remember so much Vandana's real astuteness with being able to communicate for example, over 100 different varieties of rice that were in India. And she was trying to save essentially and reproduce and circulate as much of this as possible, and to keep the cultural heritage alive for this. But not just rice, millets, and not just millet that we know of buying it from the organic shop here, but multiple varieties of millet. I was also, in my time in India, able to go to a water democracy conference where she was for 4 days speaking to farmers. And this was maybe about in 2002. She was addressing farmers to help to educate their rights on a new strategy that the government in India decided to bring across, which was about interlinking rivers. And so it was the Yamuna and it was maybe the Saraswati, another river just near Delhi, which they had an idea to link through with a channel, but that was going to be disastrous for a number of really good reasons for Indian farming communities. And there was a huge uproar. A lot of people my age back then really standing really strongly for that. And also she was instrumental in educating to the world what was happening with the largest dam ever built in the Terry Dam, which was in the most beautiful fertile plain that India has on the Ganges, upstream. It was flooded, and she was quite instrumental in supporting a team to be able to film and to document what happened. And essentially a huge big dam wall was placed, and it essentially flooded old Terry town, and they built New Terry, and they asked everyone to move up to New Terry, and they literally gave the villagers enough time to lift up their saris and run when they were in the temples. And then the waters came through, and if you hadn't moved, then everything was gone. And so they decided to relocate. And she was also instrumental in being able to share the people that are living right next to this dam can't even access the water. So she was really strong and influential for me in my life in so many ways, and especially with seed. From there, it was a big yes to keep seed as a big priority in my teaching with permaculture. And when Rabina McCurdy said after the earthquake in Christchurch, let's do a localizing food tour of New Zealand, rally the people together and take seed everywhere and get those systems started up, I said yes to that. And then I also said yes 5 years ago to working with Green Harvest Organic Gardening. Give a big shout out to those guys and Francis Michaels, where I spent 4 years working with an excellent team, looking at open pollinated heritage varieties of seed. And I would kind of wrap it up to say, we talk about a lot of endangered forests, ecosystems, ecologies, animals all over the planet, even the ecology of our mind. But how about the heritage seeds? We eat food 3 times a day. You go to the supermarket and the small variety of every season, the same foods without having variety and in-touch connection to what's happening in the summer foods as opposed to the winter foods. But our seeds, our named varieties of seeds are so important. The ones that have helped us to make it through this flood time by the varieties that we know about that are say, resistant to high levels of moisture, or can stand with their root system in water a lot longer. Different varieties that will also benefit from or go well with drought conditions. But whatever it is, you know, I just reach across on my bench and I've got some seed here of some okra, and also the knowledge involved with the seed. And I'm just blown away every time when I'm doing a seed saving course or a workshop, just the small tips and tricks that I know of to be able to make the difference between that seed being saved or not. And one of them, if I just say right now, like this is a fruit of okra, and if this isn't left to dry out on the bush, then you won't be able to have the seed. If you harvest it too early, then you've lost the potential for it to be able to be saved, because it's all about the chemistry and the hormone relationship with the seed. So, and Marie was mentioning the Seed Savers Network. Judah, Michelle, Fanton have been an absolute extraordinary representation in Australia, really kickstarting a lot of seed saving network, and are a great resource from here on in. Yeah, from now on all time. Thank you so much, Shay, that I could share a little bit of that.
That's amazing, Annalise. Thank you so much. And those who are tuning into this video, I'm going to leave in the comments, maybe you guys could leave us a comment as well, where you know, the viewers or people could follow up with the work that you guys do in the world, whether it's the Seed Savings email list or your local business or where you've worked, so we can connect those dots and really spread those seeds of love out there.
Hey, Shay.
Yep.
I just remembered one other thing I would love to bring to this, and I think everyone else might like this too. In conversation with Russell Brand recently, Vandana was talking about it's so important for us to be in the greatest service to our Mama Earth. Food is the currency of life. It's our highest duty to grow food. And the rituals that make life sacred connects us to the world.
Thanks
this
for sharing,
is what
Annalise.
this woman is about.
Absolutely. And what I love about Vandana is that she is not, she's not going to stand back on the edges when there's something that needs to be addressed. She will speak to the unspeakable.
Yeah.
And Jay did touch on it a little bit, particularly in India, with the level of corporatization, the bureaucratic, technocratic state that is encroaching on our world currently. We are moving through a precipice of time of this resetting of not necessarily what the people want. And this platform is all about raising the voices of the people for the people. And I'm going to just allow a bit of space. We've got Lisa, who I want to invite to share, but also Sovereign wants to share a small piece on particularly Vandana's stance with everything going on in the Great Reset. I think this is really important to touch on right now, because it's something that is, it would be easy to shy away from. But this is what is real in our world right now. As Jay had mentioned, you know, we'd seen hundreds of thousands of numbers of deaths and the suicide, and that were, as Jay highlighted, preventable. Now we got to really look at, as a human family, you know, what it takes to be able to prevent this. And on a larger level, we've got to really come to recognize if this movement towards more centralized control is what's going to actually serve humanity. And these are the deeper questions we really need to start looking at, and we're going to touch on in this conversation. I want to invite you, Lisa, if you want to share. I want to thank you for being that connecting thread, and for the work that you've done so diligently in North Queensland. And it seems that your life is really starting to blossom, like those fruits and flowers coming to life with all the work that you're doing. And when it can get tough to be down and out, you know, there's Lisa showing up again and again and again with her seeds and giving them so freely for others to benefit and to seek the value in. So if, Lisa, you wanted to share in this moment on your relationship to Vandana. Again, Lisa was the initiator of the local screening where hundreds of people came to Spiwa to watch the film Seeds of Vandana. Amazing film. Go and watch it, guys. Fantastic film. But if you wanted to share, Lisa, it'd be lovely to hear from you.
Can you hear me?
You can hear you good.
Oh, okay. Hello, beautiful seed family. Good to see all these beautiful faces. Yeah, Vandana's just like, she's my life hero. Yeah, and has been for a really long time. I'm so inspired by her actions, by her courage, by her clarity, by her enormous capacity to do that, showing up in all sorts of different ways, and still so connectable, so contactable, so supportive. And yeah, it was really a beautiful thing to be able to connect you, Shay, with Vandana, because it just feels perfect. And I'm so looking forward to that discussion. And thanks for bringing everybody together beforehand as well. Beautiful idea. Yeah. Hi, Sovereign. Yeah, so I guess I saw Vandana many years ago in the food films, Food Inc. and all of those, speaking up on such important issues to do with food. And I learned so much from her. And yeah, I've just continued growing in, my complete, I have so much admiration for her. Her books are so amazing, so intricately written, with that whole quantum connection of all the details, how everything fits together, and they're really quite an experience to read. And I suggest the reading, to everyone. They're really valuable tools to help people understand how we connect in with our local and our global food system, both of which I feel, even though, us up here in the north are in one of the best food growing areas on the planet, I would still call our food system quite fragile, because we have a lot of our food that's grown up in this area goes down south, and then a lot of it can be brought back up again to the shops. Sovereign and Chris and Real Food Network, a lot of people have been getting the local food system a lot more organized. Other people over the years, such an important work to bring that local food to people, and bring the idea for people to be conscious about eating local food, to be able to support their local farmers, and just have that connection to the food that grows in our area and in its season, and learn more about what can grow here. When I say we've got one of the best food growing areas, one of the things that I often talk about is that we have so much more potential here. We can grow so much more variety. So a lot of the things that we import or bring into this area, we can grow. And there's a lot of farming area that's laying waste and just basically being a heat reflection, because a lot of it's just been left quite barren, or so that ever since discovering the syntropics, I've just sort of been able to see what would this area here look like with syntropic agriculture. How could we bring this region here back to being such a flourishing, beautiful ecosystem for human beings and all creatures into the future. And it's so possible. The Life in Syntropy video just shows us that we can all do this in our lifetimes. It's completely accessible. One of the things that I'm often struggling with is how to connect around that with community, how to bring people together to sit and talk about these possibilities. What are the steps that we take to bring more people into awareness about the fact that it is so possible in our lifetimes. We don't have to be spending all that money on chemicals. We don't have to be pouring these chemicals down our river systems and out onto our Great Barrier Reef with the little single cell organisms that are being affected so much by these harmful chemicals that are flowing down into the reef every day. So yeah, I'm looking for more inspiration around that, around gathering people and being supported to do more activities around that. Yeah. And I look at Vandana and it's like, wow, where did she get all that energy from? And she's just so clear and she knows what to do, and she's got this amazing, beautiful network of people and everybody knows what they're doing. And yeah, I'm just so impressed. And I often just, hope that the amount of love that I have for her can rub off somehow in our community so that we can bring some more of that here. It's so important. And just to be able to share with other people how important it is. Yeah. So thanks, Shay, for giving us the opportunity to get the word out a little bit further.
Absolutely. Thank you, Lisa, for all your dedication over those years. Really appreciate you and honor you. And you're 100% right. Now is time to actually bring people back together. Ironically, we've been forced into separation for the last 2 years, but this is about humanity stepping up and stepping forth to bring people together in circle, in family, and in friends. And before we close up, I just wanted to invite Sovereign just to share quickly on Vandana's take on what is going on right now in the world. If you guys are not aware and you don't have any idea, just research the Great Reset. Research, go and type it in your computer, Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum, and just witness in real time this is playing out right before our eyes. And there is not many people in this world. There are a great selection of heroes stepping forth and speaking up, sharing their truth to oppose these really strongholds of this patriarchal dominant system that is just strangleholding us in a technocratic, bureaucratic way that is driving us to the point of, serious suicide on an ecological level, but on a human level as well. And we got to recognize as a family, as a community, as a humanity, are we going to come together in unity to make a stand together? And so, Sovereign, if you wanted just to share on that piece to wrap it up, and then we'll really get excited for next week with Vandana herself.
Yeah, beautiful, Shay. It was back in 2020, the end of the year, that Vandana already came out very clearly as one of the more earthbound voices, so to speak, to really lay out the tapestry and said, this is what's really going on, and not holding back at all, and calling a spade. And to me, that was around the first time that Klaus Schwab actually came to my attention, because the World Economic Forum and what these guys are all cooking up with their transhumanism agendas and all of their very distorted and human damage full fantasies They have a tremendous amount of capital, a tremendous amount of political influence, media influence. It's the big corporatocracy. And it seems that as I took heart of Vandana's sharing back then, and I've been rather engaged in the exposure of all the distorted fantasies and all the fallacy and lies and the flawed science and the fraud science over the year of 2022, have one of my own Earth heroes show me into a direction where I got as far as Bill Gates, was a real healthy tipping point for me, because it allowed me to really recognize that not only are those cogs and wheels in motion, but it is particularly Vandana's attitude. It is her way of carrying herself and how she views these quote unquote men, but I wouldn't even want to call them that, in their kind of, it was so refreshing, and it goes very much hand in hand with how she spoke with Russell Brand on that interview that was mentioned, where the relationship to the culprits, the oppressors, whatever we want to call them, the puppet masters, whatever archetype we want to ascribe to them, she is free of the entanglement in her own mind song. Her mind gardens are very clean if it comes to giving that a type of energy, and she addresses it head on. And to me, that is something that it's something where I've been able to be I've been able to draw on that. And I delivered a speech here during a sustainability conference here, which, the word sustainability is, greenwashing in my own thinking, but that's where they are here. And I brought that aspect into the presentation, and a lot of people came to me, and I knew who I was speaking to, and I knew that I didn't want to come across as if I was celebrating Klaus, but I did make a point, is that this great reset is underway. And if we do not come together as a community, as a people, and recognize that these forces are at play, then we are going to be at the effect of those, and we're going to feel effect. Well, currently, the WEF is very much enjoying the increasing rise of resources all around the world because of what's all going on geopolitically. And for me to have a voice of reason that is fearless and that sees these young, damaged boys for what they really are and names them as such, for me has been extremely liberating, because I was still stuck in the trauma triangle before I took it upon myself to kind of step out of that dynamic and see Klaus as something that I either need to figure out on how to eliminate or how to not be fearful of, because they have all this power. And that's something that I internally alchemized. And I feel that is something that is, in this kind of fantasy of the Great Reset, a huge opportunity. And if anybody wanted a different way of relating, a different perspective, Vandana Shiva not only holds that, but speaks that with vigilance, clarity, and with love. And that is what is something that I really think benefits being heard by the world.
Yes, totally agree with you there, Sovereign. Thanks for sharing that. I just want to thank you, all you local legends, seed savers, gardeners, community activators, those doing the deeper inner work to alchemize all of the challenging adversity and pain and suffering and challenges that we're faced with today. But I guarantee you that there is a reason why we're all here, is to be the way showers, to be the cleaners, to be those organic, inspiring gardeners, to bring people together, because this is what we're made for. This is why we're here. I feel we really showed up for this moment in time, and that's when we can come together. And I'm so grateful that we were able to come together this evening. Annalise has a couple of books that she would like to share as we wrap it up, from Vandana's work that she's written about, that she's got so many great publications out there. Again, if you have no idea who this woman is, go and type her name in quickly to Google and go and just watch a couple of quick videos and just be blown away for a moment and enjoy and celebrate this woman's life of what she has really inspired in so many of us. So Annalise, if you have a couple of her publications there you wanted to share, and then we'll say goodbye and see you next week, guys. Mark your calendars. Find the link in the comments or in the descriptions to go and save it for the live chat. Really exciting. And we'll hear from Annalise.
All right, I've got a serious reverb happening. There we go. So just before this interview, I went to my bookshelf and I just grabbed the Vandana Shiva section. And when I was working with her in Vandana in India, for example, some titles, Betting on Biodiversity, Why Genetic Engineering Will Not Feed the Hungry. It's not just a bit of a rave, it's also a scientific paper, as is Biodiversity-Based Productivity, a framework for an assessment looking at alternative economic assessment for sustainable agriculture. So, and these are all like cited kind of and written in a way where local farmers can understand it, as well as people in the scientific community as well too. A couple of others. Let's have a look at this. Our Earth, We Want to Inherit, a message from the children of India, which is a Navdanya publication. These beautiful images and statements from children, for children, and translations. Our air is looking clear. Only near the main road, there is some smoke. In also Hindi too. I'm starting to speak in broken English just straight away, a bit of Hinglish. But this is something I really wanted to show you. And at Navdanya, where her seed saving area is, where she stores a lot of the seeds, on the outside of the mud brick building are these traditional designs. So this is a part of the traditional stories. And so if you for people that can't even speak or can't even read text, you can understand and see the cultural stories and the cultural heritage and about people being together and threshing of the grains. And she has it covered from the seed, from the cultural story, the ethnobotanical story, all the way through, but also highly detailed information. This is like the best kind of publications for scientific journals. And I have a science background, and reading this is like, it's just such a treat because my science mind can read it and I can see all the quotations correctly in there, but also my permaculture, my community side of me can see it. And I know anyone can read this. So the way she brings her information across is just stunning. Sharing the earth's harvest, creating abundance, not scarcity, and just bringing through these beautiful themes, and then the principles of organic farming as well too. And these are just some of her more original titles, and I'm sure these days she's also got some powerhouse up-to-date information that's really addressing our human needs in this time as well too. So thanks that I could share some of those.
It's so powerful. Thanks, Annalise.
Really
thank you all for joining us
everyone.
there. Really,
Thank you,
really
Shay.
shattering the illusions, seeding freedom for all humanity. I'd love to hear you guys if you want to unmute yourself and say goodbye. And we look forward to seeing you all next week.
Thanks heaps, Shay. Thanks, everyone.
Ciao. Lots of love.
And thanks again to our local legends, Lisa and Maria, for many years saving seeds, just like Vandana has for many years. Thank you.
Yeah.
Woo! Big love, guys.
Hello.